Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on Gran Turismo 7 on this week's current daily race seat at Daytona in Group 4. So you might see a name there in P4 that you might recognise from plenty of videos in the past, but he's been fairly quiet recently, Momoz. Now I'm starting at the back of the grid and we're going to see something in this race that is definitely worth waiting for. It is quite funny and it does show that Momoz might be getting back to his old ways. However, I will say that he has been fairly clean for quite a long time and been driving fairly decent. However, a couple of weeks ago, 3-4 weeks ago, he did start driving a bit dodgy. I think at Bathurst I seen him pushing people into the walls and he did a few things to ourselves, and then he did it about a week ago as well, I think, or 2 weeks ago. I saw him being a bit dodgy with someone else as well, so maybe he's starting to creep back into his old ways. And when you see what happens in this, you might agree with me. Let me know in the comment section what you think. If you do enjoy this video, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in these comments what you think of Momoz. Is he on his verge of getting back to his best old self? Well, I say best, but what we're going to see in this is probably not going to be the best. As we work our way into turn 1 behind this Ferrari, we're going to just go to the left hand side of the track. We have a little look up the right, I think, here, but decide to brake early. This Veyron behind us actually savagely sends that there. We just get out of the way, not worth getting hit there. And we're down to P14, and we're actually going to lose out, I think, to the McLaren. No, the McLaren hasn't got the grunt to get past there, so we're going to hold on to P15 at the moment and not go down to the back of the grid. We did start P13, 14, so it's not really that much of a loss anyway. But going into this corner, it looks like the Veyron again hits the Ferrari. We're going to try and go round the outside there, but we can't really hold that line. And I think the McLaren has actually managed to get through us on the right there. Matt in the McLaren, driving the McLaren, actually gives the Veyron a little tap up the rear there. That gives me the ability to go back up on the inside, and we're going to hold the inside line. And once you're on the inside line here, you've got the position, because the outside line just can't hold the speed compared to the inside, and you just end up getting the position. So back up to P13. Not a bad start, not the greatest start ever, and we're getting the slipstream on this Ferrari, and it looks like this, I don't think this Ferrari is going to have the grunt, so we're going to go to the right hand side of the track into 7th gear, and you can just see too much speed for that Ferrari. I think he actually lifts and just tucks in behind us there and decides to concede that position. So into the chicane, a tricky chicane that can catch you out very easily with the penalty system. And now we're going to be slipstreaming our way all the way on this back section. This section is all about slipstream. Now with the Veyron, make sure if you're driving this Veyron you do short shift. I was actually revving this a bit too much early on in the week. I figured out that you need to short shift a little bit, especially when in a slipstream. You need to shift this a little bit earlier than what I was doing, so you might be able to gain a bit more time on the straights by shifting slightly earlier. But that's lap 1 over, and now we're getting into the slip of P10 and 11. They're going side by side into turn 1. Very tricky corner, turn 1. You can try and go around the outside. We have done a few moves completely around the outside there. Maybe cutting back sometimes as well. You can see P11 looks like he had a little look at that, and we're not going to be able to go up there. He cuts that off there, which is all fair. And now we're going to go into the braking zone. Tricky braking zone. We have a little look up at the inside, but make sure we brake early just to try and see if we can off-put him a little bit. And now onto that throttle and into the midfield we go. So in P12, right behind P10 and 11 here, we can see, I think Momo's just a little bit in the distance there. I think he's down to like P8 or something. It doesn't look like he's had the best start to this race, so maybe slightly frustrated up there. I think he's just ahead of us there in that group of cars. I think maybe P7 he might be there, as we work our way through the last few corners of the midsection before we go back onto the oval part. And you can see at the moment it's fairly okay. It's not too much chaos going on. There's a few little bits of contact here and there, but it's not been terrible. It's been fairly alright, and we're going to get ourselves onto this slipstream section. So we're going to have a little look to the right there. We're not going to be able to go around the outside, so again, just tuck up behind the slipstream. You can see what I'm doing here is just trying to lose the slipstream so I can get a bit of momentum with the slip when we get back into it. So now we've got that slipstream. We're going to get that slip behind Dave here, and we're going to go for a move into the chicane. Now, I don't think Dave even knows I'm here, because as we go to the left, we're almost completely alongside, and by the braking point, we've definitely got the right to the inside, and he just turns across us without even knowing we're there. Now, I don't know, we did brake early. I think maybe he just didn't even know we were there, so we'll let him off with that one. And to be fair, he lost himself a bit of time anyway. So we go up to P10 as the car in front also makes a mistake in that chicane, and we're now going to get in this open space. But you can see in front of us we've got Momoz there. I think it's in P7. I think it is in P7 that Momoz is ahead of Mo Salah there in P8. So let's see if we can catch that group up as we work our way to start lap 3. So you can see this car's going to try and go around the outside. We've got McLaren behind us there on the inside. He's going to probably have a little look up the inside, so we're going to have to take a very tight line into this corner. Very tricky when you're taking this tight line. What you have to do with the Veyron is try and ride the brake a little bit whilst you're accelerating a little bit as well. So put a bit of throttle input in while you're braking, just stabilizes the car and stops it sliding out. So if you're having issues with the Veyron sliding very often, just putting a bit of throttle input in while you're braking into that corner will help keep that car nice and stable. So a little tip for you there. Hopefully it'll help you out in this race. So again, we've got the slipstream now back to P9. You can see we're 8 tenths behind. Slipstream's about 1.5 seconds for the weakest part of it, and he has got a penalty there. Just Bob has picked himself up a penalty, and we got Momoz just ahead now in P8. So we're getting very close to where you're about to witness the possible return of Momoz being a little bit naughty in races. Now, like I said, we've had a few incidents with him. I've not made any videos from the little incidents we've had with him over the last month or so. He's done a few little things, but I just let it slide because it wasn't anything major. It was, you know, pushing someone into the wall here, pushed a few other drivers that we saw at Bathurst. It wasn't myself, he pushed a couple of other drivers straight into the wall. It was clearly on purpose, and he did it to myself, but it wasn't really that bad that it was worth, you know, making content out of. But this race was quite funny, what you're about to witness, and I think you'll agree it was pretty nice what we did here. So as we work our way into the bus stop chicane, going to get a good exit from here. Just Bob there doesn't get the best exit you see there, and he knows he's got a penalty. What he does is I think he actually just holds the line to the slipstream. We're going to give him a bump draft there, so we're going to give him the bump here because there's no point trying to overtake him. Just give him the bump into Momoz, and then we're going to just go straight through him when he goes to the car. So we're going to go through Bob as he takes that penalty, so stay through him there, get a bit of slip, and we got the slipstream for Momoz now, and we're going to get that momentum, go around the outside and see if we can hang it round the outside of him. Now I thought Momoz has been reasonably okay, like I say, over the past, but here he lifts off the brake, accelerates, he actually accelerates and turns into us and tries to push us off there. So we cut back, get the inside. There's a little bit of contact as he exit there, but I think that was deserved after he pushed us off the track. Now keep your eye on the mirror, because as we come into this corner here, into the braking zone, I spot him going for an absolute savage send to try and take me out, and we avoid him, and he goes straight into the barrier. So Momo sends himself to the shadow realm, and you can watch here in slow motion as we're coming into this corner, we're ahead here, then he turns to the right, accelerates and tries to push us off the track. So bit nasty by Momo's there. We cut back, get the position back, and there's a tiny bit of contact with him there, but to be fair, I think that's perfectly acceptable after what he tried to do to us. And now we're going to go into the braking zone and watch this from the perspective of Momo. So as we go into the braking zone, you're going to watch, he's going to try and send us here, and we're going to see it at the very last minute. We see it there, avoid him, and he is straight into the tyre wall. So yeah, pretty savage by Momo's, a bit of a fail as well. He's obviously a little bit rusty because he hasn't really been that nasty in these races for a long time, but this clearly shows that he's back trying to take people out. You can see that avoidance right at the last second. We just spotted him in the mirror, and that is why I like using the view that I use, because you can see him coming from that mirror better than the radar. The radar doesn't really give you the awareness, but that the actual mirror at the top of the screen is brilliant for spotting people going for sends like that, and we managed to avoid him there. So we lost the position, I think, but we're still in P11 and still in this battle, unlike Momo's. So now we're going to see if we can get back into this group, and probably going to get involved with some more chaos here. So we can see very close racing, a lot of contact going up in there. They're 3 wide, bit of contact going on between P8 and P6 or 7, I think it is there. There's contact going on between them side by side, and there's contact still going ahead while we fast forward this into the bus stop. Now this is always scary when you've got cars like this. So you can see I actually lift fairly early and brake fairly early here. So we're going to get on that brake and just try and stay out of trouble. There's contact, a car into the wall. I think that's Matt into the wall there. And more contact from the car on the right there. A bit of contact as we work our way through there. And yeah, bit of chaos going on. So quite a chaotic daily race so far at Daytona in Group 4. And you can just see what this causes is a massive gap to the lead group. This is the only frustrating thing, is when people just fight like crazy and battle and hit each other like this, you just drop away from the lead group, and it just makes it impossible to stay with them. So at the moment now we're basically fighting for P4 as we get that slip past Matt on the left there in the McLaren. And I think Matt got quite savagely hit through the bus stop there. And now we're going into the braking zone and just trying to hold it clean and try and slow down the car as we look behind us. And I'm not too sure what happened there, but it looks like possible contact for that Veyron. And then there's more contact going on in front of us, and people are just completely hitting each other here. It's getting a bit out of hand, but we managed to get ourselves up into P8. And then we can see in the mirror another car savagely sends another car. I think he's just punted him off into the barrier. I'm not too sure what's gone on there, but we managed to hold on to P8. So yeah, a little bit of a crazy race so far, but we managed to hold the position, and it all settles down a little bit as we come to the end of lap 5, and we get a nice run out of the bus stop chicane. And you can see just Bob there doesn't get the best exit and decides to just let us through there and let us to try and get the slipstream to that car in front. So he's going to tuck in behind us, and now we're behind that Ferrari and seeing if we can get the slip to the 4, 5, 8 there. So yeah, we should be able to catch this Ferrari up. Not as strong on the top speed as the Veyron. The Veyron is massively overpowered in 7th gear. You can see it 164, 165 miles per hour by the time we get to the end of the straight. 167 with a bump draft. We're gonna have a little look on the outside, but we brake early because you have to be careful when you get a bump draft on that straight. You have to brake nice and early. However, we managed to go up the inside there as he brakes a little bit late and put ourselves up into P6. So a nice move. And now we're going to see if we can catch these two cars up in front of us. And this is pretty much the battle we've got to try and get ahead of now, because there is no way we're going to catch that lead group. They're 8 seconds ahead, and yeah, all that battling has just cost us so much. So we skip a little bit further on, and you can see we're right behind Ribs now, who is also right behind Mo Salah there. And we're going to see if we can go for a move. So get that slipstream. Can we go around the outside? We're going to get Ribs slipstream and see if we can go round the outside, but no, we're going to probably not be able to go around both of them. However, into the braking zone, brake nice and early. Mo Salah brakes nice and sensibly on the inside. We're going to try and go around the outside there. Can't manage to go around the outside of Ribs. However, we do get that move up into P5, so 1 position gained and some fairly good driving. Now this is the thing, so once we've got away from the drivers that are clearly intent on causing a bit of chaos, then it seems to have settled down. Now we know that Ribs and Mo Salah are always going to drive safe and pretty fair, and you can see their Ribs has just gone off and give himself dirty tyres. So we're going to go around the outside. We can trust Ribs. We know that he won't go maximum attack on that corner. He'll probably give it a little lift, which he does, and we're up into P4. So now we're into P4. Ribs has got a bit of dirty tyres. That's going to slow the group down behind him. You can see as Matt's getting held up a little bit there where Ribs just doesn't have the grip. And then we're going to go to the end of the race where we managed to hold on pretty much without much of with a fairly okay gap. But the McLaren now is right behind us. You can see that Matt's pushing like crazy in that McLaren. The McLaren is fairly strong in the slipstream. You can see 3.7 behind us there. Sorry, 3 tenths behind us there in the slipstream. So this is going to be very close at the end of this race to see if we can hold on to P4. So we just got to make sure we hit this bus stop pretty decent. So as we come into here, we're going to brake in between the 2 and the 1 board, right there in the middle where that little warning signal is. And now we're going to go through to 4th gear and try and get a good exit. Early upshift into 5th as you come out the exit there to try and get the momentum. And you can see that McLaren 2 tenths behind us. Will he have the momentum? And now this is where you're going to see why most people are using the Veyron, because even though the McLaren can hang with the Veyron and can actually gain in a slipstream, as soon as that McLaren pulls it out of the slipstream, he's going to really struggle to get any sort of acceleration. So we stay to the left hand side, he goes to the right, he's got a nice run on us. However, as we come into the finishing line, he just doesn't have the momentum in that 7th gear, and we managed to hold on to that P4. So an interesting race, a lot of chaos going on there. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know in the comment section. Also, let me know what you think about Momoz. Have you experienced Momoz being a little bit naughty recently again? Personally, that's the first time I've seen him doing anything really savage. However, he has done a few other little incidents building up over the last few months. So maybe he's starting to get a bit frustrated again, and that dirty driving is starting to kick back in, because we know just how bad Momoz has been in the past. But we'll give him the benefit of the doubt. I'm sure he's just had a bit of a bad day on the game, and hopefully he'll be back to racing clean soon. So thanks again for watching. I'll see you all soon. Take care, everyone.